Welcome to Journey into Self. I'm your host, Sarah. Tonight we're going to talk about a topic, and I'll just state what the topic is and go into why that topic came to mind. The topic is the misconceptions about love and relationships. So I'll talk about how that topic came to mind. Often when I'm contemplating what I'm going to discuss here on my show, or when I was doing my weekly spiritual talks, I would pay attention to the things that I would notice that would be recurring situations that I experienced in life, insights that I would get from spiritual books that I read, things that would come up in the course of meditation, or recurring conversations that I would have with people where people had sought me out for counsel, or just noticing that I'm talking about the same subject constantly. I pay attention to these things because I realize that life is a classroom, a place for us to learn and observe ourselves, a place for us to observe life. And if we're observing life properly, we can see that life is constantly teaching us lessons. Life can be our teacher. So I pay attention because I know that there's nothing that's happenstance. As George Clinton says in the song, Good Thoughts, Bad Thoughts, there's no chance, coincidence, or accident in a world ruled by law and divine order. So when I was reflecting upon what topic I wanted to cover on the show tonight, I reflected upon the fact that over the past week or so, one recurring conversation that I've had was about relationships. I got questions about relationships, had conversations about relationships, gave counsel about relationships, discussed love, discussed people's misconceptions and misunderstandings about love, about how people misinterpret love, and all of that. So it occurred to me that what contributes to the conflicts that people have in their relationships comes from the misconception that most of us have about love, about what it is, about where it comes from. So I wanted to spend some time discussing that, giving some insight into it, going into some depth with about what the search for love is about, and how our misconceptions about love create the problems that we have, most of us have in relationships. So just the other night, while I was in the midst of a counseling session, in fact, I think probably the last 3 people who I've counseled, I went into this insight. The search for love originates with our birth, essentially, with our birth into the physical realm. When we are born into the physical realm, one of the things that happens to us is that our connection with divinity, our conscious connection with divinity, is severed. We never truly lose connection, but we lose our conscious connection to divinity. It's like we have amnesia. We forget who we are, and we don't know how to tap back into that memory. But innately, we know that with it, we know that there was happiness for us. And we know that innately our essence is happiness. We can feel when we come into the physical realm that the innate happiness that we had before we came into the physical realm is no longer there. It was severed with our loss of our conscious connection to divinity, to spirit. And so that begins our search for love. We feel that something's missing because that connection is severed. And we know that there's something that we need to seek in order to be able to fill that void of happiness. However, we don't know the source of it. We don't know how to get back into that connection. In the current days that we live in, it's not instilled in us as part of our growing up process. In the ancient times, particularly in the golden ages of civilization, part of our upbringing would include instilling it within us, the knowledge of who we really are. And we learn the process and techniques to reconnect. That's part of our rites of passage program, if you will. We're taught that. We're taught who we really are. We were in those days. But over the course of time, those type of teachings have been hidden from us. They were stripped from our ancestors. They were taken away just from the masses in general. And hidden away because of the empowering effect that has upon us. Because as the cycles of time devolved, came the rise of ego and the forces that serve ego, or the lower nature. They become prevalent. And with it came the desire to control resources, to control people. And so they don't want people who are connecting with divinity, because people who are connecting with divinity or reconnecting with divinity cannot be controlled. So we've lost that connection. We're not being taught how to reconnect. And we're given watered down versions of religion, which was originally meant to reconnect, which is literally the definition of the word religion, is to reconnect. Is a misconception that religion was created to deceive people. It was not originally so. Religion got co-opted and distorted to serve that purpose. But that was not the original intent of religion. Religion and spirituality are just extensions of each other. But religion got co-opted. So, because of these factors, we're lost. We're in search of happiness. We're in search of love because, of course, love is God. So the search for happiness, the search for love, is essentially the search for God. The search for our connection with God. We're not aware of this. We just know we want happiness. We want love. And since we're not taught how to find it, we end up being taught by family tradition. We're taught by society. We're taught by the media. We're taught by books and fairy tales. We're taught by the music, love songs, fairy tales set to music. We're programmed by commercials. We're convinced that even love can be bought with diamonds, flowers, flowery words. We're given the impression that love is something that we are to seek outside of ourselves. We're given the impression that our objective is to find the perfect mate, the one, our soulmate, our twin flame, the woman or man of our dreams. And then once we find that person, they will bring us love and happiness. There's that expectation that that person will bring us love and happiness. That perception in and of itself is what causes the conflict, the pain, the suffering, the disappointment, the frustration, and the conflict. Because we, in essence, have delegated the responsibility for our happiness to our relationship partner, and we determine the extent to which our relationship partner loves us based upon how they make us feel, based upon how happy they make us. And if we feel like they're making us happy, we feel loved. And conversely, if we don't feel like they're making us happy, we don't feel loved, and we blame them. And that's where the conflict ensues. And that's why so many people have a difficult time being able to maintain a relationship, because of the expectation that we place upon them for making us happy, for how we interpret their actions and their failure or success at making us happy. We interpret that as the extent to which they love us or don't love us. And if we're not feeling like we're happy, we feel like they don't love us or they're falling out of love with us. So then love becomes an attachment. And attachments create expectations. Expectations create disappointment. And so when we look at love from that perspective, from that nature of experience, love being an attachment becomes like a drug. Because we're seeking happiness. Just in the same way that someone who takes drugs or drinks alcohol or smokes weed, they're looking for the feeling that they get from that experience, from that drug, from what we identify as love. We fall in love, but what we're falling into is being attached to the actions that someone is engaging in that bring us temporary joy and happiness. But just like with drugs or alcohol, the effect ultimately is going to wear off. But then we'll want that feeling again. Thus, we want more drugs, the more alcohol, the more what we perceive to be love. We want the same actions that our loved one, quote unquote, has engaged us with us to bring about that feeling that we had. We want that feeling again. But just as it is with the drug or alcohol, you'll never get the feeling that you got the first time. The effect dissipates over time. So not only is the feeling temporary, in order to even get close to the same feeling that we had before, just like with the drug, we need more in order to even come close to having the same feeling, which we can't replicate. But just as the addict, when one becomes addicted to the drug, people get addicted to the feeling that they get from their perception of being loved. When they don't feel that feeling again the same way, they think something's wrong. The drug addict gets mad at the dealer because the dealer didn't give him the good stuff. He's watering it down. He's not giving the same quality as he gave to us before. Our relationship partner is the dealer. And we perceive that the relationship partner is not giving us the good stuff anymore, because we're not getting that same feeling. We need more. They may be doing the same thing that they always did, but the effect is wearing off. And so we demand more. If we don't get more, then we feel like something's wrong. Their love is waning. They don't love us as much anymore. You start complaining. Arguments will ensue because the person being blamed is frustrated because he or she is doing what they had done before and doesn't understand why we're complaining. And we get upset, we get angry, we become jealous. We get sad, depressed, suspicious, thinking somebody is trying to take what we have. We see our relationship partner as ours. They become our possession. We're attached to it. We're attached to them. They become our possession. Possessions we're afraid to lose. Fear leads to the dark side. We then tend to try to control it so that we don't lose it. We become paranoid, thinking someone wants to take it from us. We get more controlling. We get angry, depressed, sad. And going back to the drug analogy, we go into withdrawal. But the problem is that that person is not the source of happiness. That person is not the source of love. They can love, and so can we. But love is not something that we can expect without being it. We receive love by giving it, not from expecting it to come from someone else. So our objective is wrong. That's the misconception. If we want to experience love, it's for us to get in tune with love by getting in tune with ourselves and going within to reconnect with the source of love that comes from within ourselves. And to identify with our innate beingness, which is love. To love ourselves, to be love. And when we connect with that, connect with our essence, then we will begin to manifest love. We will vibrate love because that will become part of our being. And when we vibrate love, as we know, the vibrations that we put out we attract based upon the vibrations that we put out into the universe. Vibrations attract like vibration. So we're not going to find love by signing up on some online dating site. going to the club, the bar. First, we have to go within ourselves and become love. Connect with love. Emanate love and vibrate love. Too often, particularly in the times that we live in, we go out in our search for love looking for someone to give it to us. Which is the opposite way to approach it. The manifestation of love is to give it selflessly, to give to others selflessly, with no expectation. Because as we said earlier, it's expectation that leads to disappointment. It's expectation that leads to suffering, frustration, sadness. But the universe is based upon spiritual laws, of which karma is one of those universal laws. Karma is we reap what we sow. So when we sow the seeds of love, by radiating love, by giving love selflessly, with no expectation of return, the universe will take care of it and will return it to us. So it won't go unrewarded. We will receive it in return by being it, by manifesting it, by putting that, by sowing those seeds. But that's not how we approach it. For most of us, we give with the full expectation of receiving something in return. And too often these days, people want to receive, period, without giving anything. And that becomes the expectation. Give to me. And there's not even a thought of giving something back in return. Love will certainly not come that way. And if we only give love with the expectation of receiving something in return, is that truly love? Or is that a transaction? I submit that it's the latter. Transaction-based love will not sustain itself because transaction-based love is based upon attachment and expectation, the effect of which will ultimately wear off, resulting in conflict, frustration, sadness, anger, disappointment, blaming. You don't make me happy anymore. It was never their responsibility to do so. Nor is it possible. It's impossible to make another person happy. Happiness comes from within. So if we're not happy within ourselves, no one can bring it to us. Happiness will be shared, but we can't share happiness if we don't have it first. Love is to be shared. We can't share love if we don't have it first. So the misconception again is that we approach love backwards, the wrong way. We're looking for someone to give it to us. When it was already there within us all along, waiting for us to discover it. But until we unlock it within ourselves, we can't experience it. Another person can't awaken us into it. We must find it within ourselves. That we may be able to share it, that we radiate it, vibrate on that frequency. that we attracted. Is that what's happening now? No, not at all. It's the exact opposite. People are not coming together. People are being repelled from each other. People are pointing the fingers, just like they do in relationships. And now people can't even get together in relationships. Because even before we get into relationships, we're pointing the fingers and blaming. No one's taking responsibility for their own happiness. They're blaming someone else. No one's taking responsibility for the poor choices that they've made in their search for love outside of themselves. And then they blame. Look all around us. Look at all the social media. Everyone's pointing fingers and blaming. No one's taking responsibility for anything. Is anyone looking at themselves? Cause and effect. We reap what we sow. So our approach has to change. If we want to attract and experience love. We have to get out of the fairy tale. And stop listening to Babyface. It doesn't work like that. It's temporary. Just like Anita Baker says in her song, Fairy Tale. We have to look to the source. The source is within us. Love doesn't come from outside of us. Love comes from within. Happiness doesn't come from outside of us. It comes from within. We can't give something that we don't have. We can't receive something that we don't have. So if we want love, we have to be love. To be love, we have to find the source of it. To find the source of it, we have to look within ourselves. And that's why, when I'm doing counseling, when I'm doing relationship counseling or spiritual counseling, we're not talking about what other people have done to us. We're not talking about all those experiences. We're talking about us. We're working on ourselves. It's a spiritual journey. In the temples, the wisdom temples throughout the world, the pyramids and temples in Kemet, the words are know thyself. And that's what life is about. All of our experiences in life, including love, including relationships, especially relationships, as a matter of fact, are designed to give us a deeper insight into ourselves. To help us know ourselves. To help us to understand why we see the things the way we do, why we react to things the way we do, and to realize that none of those things are who we are. That we're spirit. I get a comment that says, some relationships are seeking a connection, but maybe not love. Some people will tell you that they have a wall around their heart, but they can give and receive a flesh connection. A flesh connection is like a drug. A temporary satisfaction. But one can be addicted to that, become addicted to it, because the satisfaction doesn't last. Some people will have a wall around their heart because they've experienced pain, which they don't realize that they caused for themselves based upon the expectations that they created, essentially expecting their relationship partner to make them happy. Which is invariably going to cause conflict and ultimately will result in us pushing that person away, because they will get frustrated when they set about the task of trying to make us happy, being frustrated that it never seems to happen because it's impossible. And so you have both people mad and frustrated. That's why relationships don't work. And that's why the counseling that most people go to doesn't help them. Because the counsel that they give doesn't get at the core of the issue. It's just surface level stuff that will provide a temporary band-aid. That will never solve the situation. Not that many of them even want to, because it's just like with the medical industry. Their objective is not to cure you, because if they do so, you're not making money for them any longer. So a lot of the counseling and treatment that people go to functions the same way. They want you to come there perpetually. Conversely, if you're counseling with me, relationship-wise or spiritual counseling-wise, my objective is to give you the tools as an individual or as a couple to overcome your challenges yourselves, such that you don't need me anymore. I don't want you as a perpetual customer. I don't want you always coming to me for counseling. I don't want you to have to come to me with your problems. I want you to be able to solve them for yourselves. And look back and, be able to reach out back to Brother Sarah and thank you. I appreciate all your help. You've helped me or us, and we can take it from here. And that would be the ultimate fulfillment for me. So, I think that this is those are the points that I wanted to cover tonight. And I hope that you reflect and meditate upon these things. And I know that you've been listening. You've been listening with your spirit. Your spirit will recognize the truth of what I've said tonight. Your ego might not. Your ego will reject it and want to keep you believing that what you've already, that what you believed before. But your spirit knows that this is the truth. So meditate on, reflect upon that, and if I can be of service to you, if you're in a relationship, need some counsel, just got out of a relationship, need some counsel, want a relationship, need some counsel, or just need counsel, reach out to me. You can reach out to me on Facebook, or you can go to my website now, which is www.sa-ra.org, and you can sign up for a free consultation, and then we can talk and come up with a program that would be of benefit to you. Okay, so with that, Hope this has been beneficial to you, and we'll see you next time here on Journey in the Self. What's up?